This is Cydni.
And I'm Sher. And each week we get together to share with you a message of hope.
It is through our own study and our personal experiences that we offer the reminder to not only seek the light,
but be the light. You can find peace, and there is hope.
And as long as one of us is slightly caffeinated, there will be laughter.
Today's episode is Dream Great Dreams.
And we're so glad you're here.
I'm forging my way through the tip top. I'm living my life through the drip drop. When he turns.
Today, Cydni, we're going to talk about dreaming great dreams.
Which takes me to the Man of La Mancha.
Of course,
did you
it does.
ever see that?
I feel like I have, but I can't remember. Help me remember what it's about.
Well, let me take you to my living room when I was a young child, because there my dad was. He put the VCR. Is that what it is? VHS? What is it?
VHS and the VCR.
Yeah, okay, the words are coming back to me from my pioneer heritage. I saw someone introduce a VHS to a child once, like on a little clip, and it was so funny and then so sad because you don't think you're that old, but then something like that proves that you are. They didn't know what a VHS was. I mean, I guess I'm barely remembering the term. Or Titus truly didn't think I was serious when I said that our phones were connected to the wall for a period of time. He thought I was joking. He's like, "You're messing with me. You're trying to trick me. That's not how it was."
That's how it was.
But I digress. So let's go back to my living room with the VHS and VCR situation. And I can still to this day picture my dad's eyes welling up with tears as he watched The Man of La Mancha. He loved it. And I did too. And I was like, how do you not think of dreams and to dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far. And I could picture my dad, just tears running down his face. And so tears ran down my face too. And I was like, that's right, Man of La Mancha. Dream big. I'm going to watch that movie again. I remember loving it, but it could have just been that moment. We need to have a movie night. That's how we should have prepared. I listened to Hamilton instead, but I should have.
Well, when I was studying, I went back to Billy Graham and I looked to see what wisdom he had about dreaming great dreams. And this is what he said. In our day, much of the world believes little or nothing. People are broad, but shallow. By contrast, our Pilgrim forebears stand as shining examples of men who were narrow but deep, certain of what they believed, unswerving in their loyalty, and passionately dedicated to the God they trusted, for whom they would willingly have died. I say to you, more than 350 years after the Pilgrim Fathers landed in the New World, dream great dreams. Embrace great principles, renew your hope, but above all, like them, believe in the Christ who alone can give total meaning and ultimate goal to your life. For in him we live and move and have our being. After I read this, I felt like it was talking to me because I have all this knowledge right at my fingertips. Like,
you sound so self-centered right now. You're like, this is about me and my knowledge. But go on, Sher.
Well, we have all this knowledge at our fingertips with iPhones and computers. So I feel like I know a lot about different things, but I'm shallow in all of it, meaning I know a little bit about a lot of things, but nothing very deep. And the Pilgrims were absolutely opposite. They were narrow, but they were very deep because they understood their priorities. They were deep in the knowledge of Christ. And that knowledge is what can help us dream great dreams and build those dreams. Because they were deep in their understanding of Christ, they were able to dream, create the vision, and then build up that kingdom of Christ. And this opened the door to religious freedom, to liberty, to being able to make our own choices, not having our God-given rights taken away by a dictator or a king. We get to control our life, our liberty, and our happiness. That's what they were able to do because they were so deep in their understanding of the gospel. Also, I hope you enjoyed that background noise of Rudy.
It wasn't me.
It was not Cydni. It was
whining.
It was just Rudy.
And now he's glaring at you. And now he looked away. You are in the doghouse, Sher.
I am. That's okay.
When you read that quote, I thought of roots because at first I thought the word narrow sounds kind of negative. But then what came to mind was myself, because I also want to make this about myself, Sher. And
that's why we're doing this podcast.
Because we don't have anyone else to talk to.
Right.
But we don't want to talk to each other without a mic in the face.
It makes it a lot easier.
Thank you, Mike. I felt like for myself that I either don't want to do anything or I want to do everything. I want to be the best housewife, which sure has not happened yet, but I want to either do everything where I want to write a book and I want to be a speaker and I want a podcast and I want to get in great shape, everything across the board, or I don't want to do anything. And I think I'm not alone in that, where we are all shallow and we don't focus on something long enough, like a weed, where our roots don't grow deep and they don't bear any fruit because we're just dabbling here and dabbling there and then quitting and moving on to something else and trying something else. We don't have that passion of the one thing we're focusing on, the core, and letting that go deep into the earth and sprouting a beautiful tree that then produces fruit that others also get a benefit from.
And others still do get to benefit from the fruit of the tree that the Pilgrims planted.
Actually, Sher, do you know that on Google, it will tell you how many people benefited? Do you know how many people can trace their ancestry line back to those 102 passengers?
How many?
30 million.
30 million, that's all?
Just 30 million. But if you consider the impact you can have, if there's millions of people in America because of those 50 passengers that survived, imagine the impact you could have that you might not be aware of.
Well, you're right. The Pilgrims weren't just thinking about themselves. They were thinking of their future and of their children. They weren't selfish, and they weren't thinking of the new, I don't know, what would Pilgrims want? The new carriage or horse or boots or bonnet. Yeah, something. They were worried about their children and what would happen in the future. They had such faith that they believed that they could build a city on the hill and be an example to the world. They wanted to be that place where the gospel of Christ could roll out to the entire world. And they also understood that they were the stepping stones for that to happen.
I don't know if you've ever listened to this motivational speaker. His name is Nick, how do you say? Vujicic.
So yes, I have.
What? You're not shallow. You're narrow. You do know knowledge. He's incredibly charming and well-spoken, and his testimony is very moving. It's sincere. And for those who don't know who he is a man who was born with no arms and no legs. Now I feel worried I can mess up because you're aware of him. So I just felt pressure suddenly because it was a shallow information on my end.
I had a stroke. I can't remember anything. Make
Hallelujah.
up whatever you want.
Well, he has beautiful videos out there that are really inspiring because born with no arms and no legs, he said he went through a period of time where he did try to end his own life at 10 because he was just sure he could never accomplish anything. Fortunately, God had greater and bigger plans for him, and he was saved, and he gives that credit to God, but also to the love of his parents. I've listened to him before, but I recently listened again, and something stood out different than his other talks. He said, because his faith is so strong, and he's so sure that if God could use him, he could use anybody. And he said he was sure and confident because he is striving with his whole heart that one day he will face God and God will say, well done, my good and faithful servant. But then he said, but that's not it. I have a feeling that he's going to look over my shoulder and say, but who else did you bring with you? Hearing him say that, and as we've studied about the Pilgrims who sacrificed so much, knowing that they would not benefit as much as future generations, I have learned that when we're dreaming big dreams, you must have a perspective that's greater than yourself. That fuels your why and your motives, and that will fuel other things like your discipline and your dedication that will be needed to accomplish the goals.
Absolutely. And remember, in all of this, we get to choose our own dreams. As an example, I think of my parents. Their dream wasn't to create a city on the hill or anything like that. Their dream was to create stability, tradition, love of God, family, and country. And it seems simple, but the results and impact it had on my family is and will probably be endless because it just keeps going. So as we're talking about dreaming great dreams, remember that we get to choose those, and it's all up to us to decide. And it works out better when we partner with God. When we're partners with God, that's where the magic happens. And that's where those dreams potentially really could come true. I suddenly feel like I'm in a Disney movie.
It is weird that the animals are gathering around you right now. Is that one sewing his dress? I like that we can learn that lesson from the Pilgrims, that we can dream whatever we want, because it just shows again that their dreams benefited everybody because they made these sacrifices and they were the ones to have the courage to get on the Mayflower and get going on a bigger vision that then, because of those actions, gives us the freedom to pursue whatever goals and dreams that we do have. It's as if we were all stuck in a cage and they did all the work to open the cage. And it's up to us if we're going to get out of there and fly or die.
Well, that was dramatic.
I'm feeling dramatic after all the musicals.
As I was studying all of this, it's so inspirational, but the greatest plans can go bad. And sometimes it doesn't matter how hard we try, we just end up flat on our face. The Pilgrims, they were able to adjust when plans didn't work out. They were supposed to be near Virginia, but because of the storm they were in, it blew the boat to Massachusetts. But they didn't give up and go home. They kept going and they took on the challenge. They did everything that we've been talking about this month. They moved forward with faith and with gratitude. They were disciplined. They played by the rules, so they wanted freedom under the law. And they did everything right. So my question is, what if you do all of this? What if you're faithful and you show gratitude and you have discipline and you play by the rules and you're following God's will and then you still fell? Because that's happened to everybody, I think. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like it's happened to everyone. I found some really good advice from Rabbi Daniel Lapin. He quoted Exodus 22, verse 30. It says, "You shall be consecrated to me. Therefore, you shall not eat any meat that is torn by beasts in the field. You shall throw it to the dogs." Didn't that help with all your failures right there?
Yeah, I suddenly felt really inspired. Thank you.
I know. I read that and I was like, okay, what is the point of this? But here's the point. He explains that in Hebrew, it doesn't say throw it to the dogs. It says throw it to the dog. And so what this verse is explaining is it's talking specifically about your dog, the dog that's the protector of your flocks, your sheep. But sometimes he's not going to be successful. And the wolf or the predator is still going to get to the sheep. And one of your sheep is going to get eaten by the wolf. The scripture, it's telling the reader to not get mad at the dog for the failure, because he's still going to be the protector and he's still going to try really hard and he's still going to be there for your family and for the sheep. But every once in a while, a wolf or something bad is still going to happen. The dog is going to have a failure. So instead of getting mad at the dog, give the dog the meat from the carcass, because that dog is still going to continue to be vigilant and do his best and try to keep those predators away. So how this applies to us when we fell. Rabbi Lapin said, acknowledge the failure, seek the lesson in the failure, reward the person or yourself who failed for the effort he or she made. Then he quoted Winston Churchill, success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm.
Ooh, that's fire.
He said, don't beat yourself up for the failure. Learn from it, move on. And I like the idea of rewarding yourself for trying. I wish I would have had this advice like 35 years ago.
I think I'm way too good at that. I'm like, you tried. Here's a donut. You tried to keep your menu plan followed for 4 hours. Here's Chipotle. That's me.
Okay. The reason I like the advice, though, is that he acknowledges that you are going to fail. Failure is part of life. And that when it does happen, learn to be enthusiastic in that. And because you're putting forth effort, don't be afraid to pat yourself on the back and say, you tried, just keep going. And I think that is really good advice. It gave me a whole new perspective on failure. So when those times happen, I really truly believe, because I'm idealistic and this is turned into a Disney movie, that if we keep going, that at least part of your dreams will come true. God's not going to leave you alone. He's going to help you. And eventually you're going to say, yes, this was the path I was supposed to take. I really do believe that. Sometimes it might take longer to figure that out. Some people just get it right off the bat. But whatever the circumstance, I really do believe God has it all figured out. And he can give you that peace and comfort to know that you are dreaming the big dreams that are right for you.
An illustration of this that I've always loved was the idea that if you knew what mountain you wanted to climb and you were climbing it, it doesn't mean it's not going to get steep sometimes. And just because it gets steep, it doesn't mean you're on the wrong mountain. It's about the journey and the climb and what you gain by making those first steps and climbing. You get a new perspective, and who you become is part of the climb. And I would say that if you were climbing the right mountain because you knew you were called to do it and it's what your heart wants and it's good and it helps others, and you were going the right path and it was a difficult time, but you were still moving forward, I would say that Satan would probably really love to come and tell you this is the wrong way. If it's steep and things are not going smooth, you must be on the wrong mountain. Please climb back down. Your journey's over. If I were Satan, that's what I would want to say to someone who was moving forward and going the right direction and becoming a better person because of their efforts. I would love for them to quit.
That is a really good point. I do think that happens. When things start getting hard, that's when Satan comes in and says all those bad thoughts to you. And then unfortunately, I listen too often.
When I think of someone who's enthusiastic with failure, I'm going to be thinking of Kobe Bryant because I loved everything he talks about when it comes to failure. He would always say in his mind, there's no failure. He's just learning and that's it. It's if you're not failing, then you're not doing anything to move forward. You're not taking any actionable steps towards your goals because if you're not failing, you're not doing anything. So if you're failing, you could be enthusiastic about it because that means you're climbing a mountain. It's steep. You're in the right direction and Satan's voice can just move along. But if only it was that easy, Sher.
I just admire people that can do that. I think they're so incredible when they have the capacity to no matter what, just to keep moving forward. I admire them so much because I think I wither like a little petunia.
I think that a lot of us, we don't take time to reflect on how many times we've failed, but here we are and we're continuing forward. And so I think if you actually, or we all spent time reflecting on how many times we should have or would have quit, but we didn't, that just shows that we are often more resilient than we realize. And we could see this with the Pilgrims. I would wonder if they felt like failures. They didn't get the Mayflower where they wanted it to be. Is that a failure? Or was that God's hand helping them move to where they were supposed to be? And so sometimes is our failure, or is sometimes our failure God's hand saying, I appreciate your effort. I appreciate you taking one step forward. Let me help you move a little bit to the side of the mountain because I need you to go this direction for what you want. And I have the greater view. I have the greater perspective. I see the whole mountain. So did you fall a little bit? Did you stumble a little bit? Yes, because I needed you to start climbing from right here. It doesn't change who you've become. And the confidence the Pilgrims gained from getting through that, these people who may have never been in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean before, now survived a crazy storm for 2 weeks. When they were on land again, that perspective and the confidence that they gained from that and the faith they had, maybe not even faith, but knowledge that God would protect them, that He would guide them and that they were doing the right thing. It came from experience and it came from plans going wrong.
In all of this, I think it's okay to give ourselves permission to dream big. And again, I felt like I was suddenly in a Disney movie. So I decided to ask AI to write a poem to inspire us.
It won't beat Man of La Mancha, but go ahead.
It won't, but here we go. Dream great dreams, let them take flight. A spark in your heart, a star in the night. Big as a mountain, small as a stream. It's your adventure, your bold little dream. Climb to the moon or bake the best pie. Explore the deep ocean or simply ask why. No dreams too tiny, no goals too grand. Each is a treasure, perfectly planned. So dream with a giggle or dream with a grin. The magic's not where, but the joy deep within. Chase it, embrace it, give life to it all. For your dream is yours, no matter how small.
I feel like you ripped off Dr. Seuss a little bit there.
You know, that's what I felt.
Not that I'm a hater, AI. I want to work alongside you. I'm not scared.
The thing that is true in that ripped off AI poem from Dr. Seuss or wherever is that it is your dream and you do get to decide what it is. People all over the world right now are dreaming big and they're saying, I want to do whatever it is that they want to do. But the people that are going to feel the most peace with their dreams and will feel more fulfilled in those dreams are the people that have humbled themselves and will listen and go in the way that God is directing them. That's, again, where the magic is. When you align those dreams with God's will, that's when it all happens. And that is when dreams, no matter how big or how small, really, truly do become great.
As we prepared this and thought about what could we learn from the Pilgrims about goal setting and dreaming big, I thought it's so amazing that they had the vision that they had. They saw it so clearly. And I think it's because they turned to God, who had the ultimate view, and they trusted Him. I think there's so many reasons we stop dreaming and we get distracted or we feel like we're too old. So I thought it would be important to add that there was a 64-year-old man, James Chilton, who climbed on the Mayflower. So at 64, he changed his entire life. He did it because of his faith in God. And he did it because of the vision that he saw. Our hope in this episode is to awake within yourself a dream that you've had and to recognize that it's not too far gone. You're not too old. You're not too young, but that it is possible. And because of your dreaming, it will inspire others to dream and it could benefit other people's lives. So we say, do it. Dream big.
Now for our final thoughts. Dream great dreams and plant them in the gospel of Christ. Like the Pilgrims who persevered with gratitude, discipline, and following the rules, they let their vision aim to bless others and build a better future. Dreams require adjusting when plans fail. As Rabbi Daniel Lapin taught us, learn from those failures, and it's okay to reward the effort.
With 7 gas station donuts and some sushi, not from the gas station.
All right. Success, as Churchill said, is going from failure to failure without losing that enthusiasm. Whether your dream is bold or simple, embrace it with gratitude and determination, knowing its impact can not only change your life, but the lives of so many others.
Our challenge this week is to dream big again. If you don't know where to start, write down 5 big dreams every day for a full week and see what you end up with.
This is our prayer.
From Cydni and Sher.
I'm forging my way through the tip top. I'm living my life through the drip drop. When eternity's plan, I just can't stop. I'm making my way through the drip drop.
Man of La Mancha. Dream a big dream. Fight a foe. I guess I'm amazing.
And that was key, that others
million people, or 2 or 3 million or 7 million. I don't know. I don't remember. But there was a lot. There's millions. It was a million. That gave me the chills. Uh-huh. They're multiplying. Do you know that song?
Grease.
Okay. You do know stuff. It is weird that the animals are gathering around you right now. Is that one sewing his dress?
Could it sew something else?
Is that one sewing leggings? Is that a jumpsuit?
Why are these all for you?
You don't want a jumpsuit?
No.
I read this, but it's not even sounding familiar.
All right.
I don't remember what I had for breakfast, though. Reading is really hard
I
for
don't
me.
either.
I had AI read Ben's text to me the other day. That's where I'm at. What is wrong? Your stroke's contagious.
It is. It's been going around. Just that's Greg Popovich.
Amazon. It's that time of year. We teach our dog to love Amazon.
Oh, good.
He orders it himself, actually. I hope he orders a new owner. I do have something. It's just coming in hurricane wind.
This pep talk was brought to you by Cydni.
Carry your boat, Sher.